Well, today on GeekSmart, we're going to actually take a peek at doing another upgrade on my 2022 Tesla Model 3. This box right here enclosed is the HANSSHOW Eagle Eye sequential turn signals for the rear. All LED, all pretty cool. So let's see about getting these babies installed. Okay guys, welcome back to GeekSmart. And we're going to go ahead and get right into it because this is going to be another one that I'm looking forward to doing, and hopefully it goes as smooth as I'm assuming it's going to, but I'm sure we'll run into some hiccups just like I did on the last one. But that's why I do these videos, so that way I can make the mistakes and you don't have to. So, get this guy out of the way. Alright, so they actually have a QR code right here that will take you to a video to watch. They ask you to watch the video carefully prior to installation. I'll take a peek at that before I actually do the installation, and I'll put the link down in the description. And as just with the frunk installation, the powered frunk I did, all these pictures to show you all the steps necessary to route. I think, to be honest, the hardest part is one of the hardest parts is going to be getting all the cables up through the snake in the trunk. But we'll get into that as we come to it. Alright, set that off. Let's see what we all got in here. Lots of little parts. So there's going to be quite a bit of wire because they are sequential and the tail light are two pieces. There's a trunk side and a body side. They have to have cables that connect the two, but you can't connect two right next to each other. You actually go all the way through the snake and then all the way back from both left and right side back to both left and right side. So it's going to be a lot of wiring that we have to add, essentially just to hook it up. Should be plug and play harnesses though, so it should be pretty easy, to be honest about it. Another harness there, and this is the actual light there. And then over here looks like we have some kind of module. Looks like maybe a plug adapters in there. We'll take it all out here in the end. More plug adapters, so you can see how it goes from a smaller to a bigger one. From what I remember on their earlier ones, I think they had all big plugs, and there were a couple spots that you actually had to modify it a little bit to get it to go through. So maybe that's what those are. And then just the lights again. So that's all the parts. This stuff right here, that's the parts other than the actual assemblies themselves of the 4-piece, 2 on each side of the light assemblies. So yeah. Alright, let me get stuff put together. So before I get too into it, I did want to take a peek at least at one of the assemblies. So they come out of the bags. And they're pretty simple, and the nice thing is we'll be able to look at this to see exactly where the push pins are that actually are going to hold this in place, because like you can see on this one, this is the piece that's on the trunk itself. There's one bolt, there's actually a nut on the back side that you had to remove, and then these two are just like push pins, so you just kind of got to pop them out, and then same with when you go in and push back in. So, but at least if nothing else, you have these to go by from on the factory one, where they're going to be kind of, you know, just a little more difficult. You got to do that pop out. So tools, they're not going to give you any tools, of course. At least that's what I've seen. I think that'd be the only thing I would recommend them to give you a little pry tool. But I do have a couple, so I'll have to grab one of those plastic pry tools to pop these items out, specifically the factory ones. So, alright, let me get my stuff put together now. Okay, so I'm just preempting this real quick. This is me at the end of the video, but at the same time, I just wanted to go over the tools necessary to do this job. Because in all reality, there's just a few. An 8mm, I would prefer a deep well socket. I think just an 8mm deep well socket with the ratchet, and that's it. It can be a 1/4 inch small socket, that's fine. That's the only socket you'll need. You'll want to have some electrical tape just for cleaning things up. You'll want to have a small screwdriver, like a tweaker flat screwdriver. That's the big thing that I didn't know if I necessarily needed, but that's basically to pop 2 zip ties you'll need to pop. You'll also need a fish tape or something that's just, I would say, at least 4 feet long, that's fairly rigid, that you can tape onto to pull the stuff through. If you have a fiberglass, I think is the best way. I would probably stick away from metal. That's pretty much all you really need. Now, you can also have a pry tool of some kind. This little one, I couldn't find my decent pry tool that I use for vehicles.
I have no idea where I set it. This is literally for a bicycle tire, and it worked great. You only need it for a couple brief moments, but it is handy to have, especially plastic. You don't want a metal one because you don't want to mar your paint or anything like that. So for tools, this is a pretty simple install. In all reality, I felt more confused going into it for all the wires, how everything's going to run. But after running it, it's very easy to do. So let's get into the actual install. Okay, so if you go by the instruction manual, we're going to be starting with the trunk, removing the trunk panels and stuff. If you go by the video, they have you start by removing the outside tail light. There's no wrong way. You're going to be removing all this stuff anyway. So you could remove everything at once and then slowly work your way back. I kind of have the thought of almost starting with just removing one and working away and seeing what it looks like. But at the same time, it's all about efficiency too. So I'm going to start by opening the trunk. And we'll start working our way around, I guess. So I'm going to start like the instruction manual. So basically this liner on the bottom side of the trunk, or on the inside of the trunk, has to be removed. And I don't know if it's best to start with the hands or just grab a tool to start. Haven't decided yet. And of course I can't find my good tool, so I'm sure if I spent time to do it, I could do it, but I couldn't locate it real easily. It was definitely easiest to start in the back, kind of the upper side of the trunk corner, and slowly work our way around. So there's 3 right there, and that's why this corner is really good on there good. I'm going to start at the other corner, see if that works. They are in there really good. Alright, so obviously you have the button here that closes the trunk. We have to remove, or basically disconnect that. So back here, try to do so you can kind of see it. See, it's just a plug. Let's see if it kind of pops out. And then does it just disconnect, or does it pull tab or anything? Nope, just kind of pulls out. And now I can set this off to the side. Those hold. It looked like in some of the other videos I watched, some of these actually stayed in place. So just double check your panel, make sure you have all of the white tabs on the trunk lid. All of mine came off with it, so maybe they kind of cleaned that up. Okay, so here we have the driver's side tail assembly. We have to remove these on both sides actually, so I'm going to do both sides. Essentially you could do it a couple ways, right? You could use a crescent wrench, something big enough to grab onto that. I don't like doing that on this because this metal, you could mar a little bit. So I thought I'd try just a clamp to see if I can get it off with this. Hey. Well, maybe that was just enough. Now, obviously putting it back on, tightening is going to be a little bit different, but I just didn't want to mar this up at all. I was going to tape it up and then use the crescent wrench, but you know, there's a lot of sides on this guy. So, yeah, whatever, Denagon or whatever it is. So I'm going to set that in here. I'm going to do the other side real quick. Yeah, it works. Well, hopefully we can get some of this on camera, and I'll show a different angle once I get to this point. But back here, behind this trim, you just kind of have to, from what I understand, you just have to pull this felt trim back. And back here, aha, 1, 2. These 2 bolts are nuts, essentially, are what's holding that in place. I don't know what size they are, though. 8 millimeter. So you can kind of see right here. One there, one there. Probably will. Well, make sure you set the nuts off to the side and don't lose them. So you can tell that this is
basically wants to pull out. Sorry if it's going off on that. So you can see those two right there. A little blurry, I apologize. Okay, now all that's holding this is, probably gonna pop that open anyway. There's two, basically you have to pull it straight out and you can feel it kind of wet. Now there is, I probably have to disconnect that first. Let's disconnect the wiring. So you can see that red tab, we got to pull that red tab out, probably. Yep, pull the red tab out, and then we can pull the wiring. It's going to be hard for me to do with one hand, hold on. So yeah, once you pull that red tab out, then it literally just pulls out. So that's that. Let's leave that there. I'll pull the light out. And that's literally it. So you can see where it came out, real easy to see from here. So those two, and those two tabs that just kind of pop in there. Pretty nice. Okay, one light out. Set that in there, and I guess we'll work on the one on the trunk of the same side, and then I'll do the other one without talking. Okay, so on this one, I'm gonna take the wiring out first. So I'm gonna pull that red tab again. Should have a small screwdriver with me. Pull the red tab, and then just work that out. And I will say that even the other one was in there pretty good. There we go. So it's in there pretty good. So that light's free. There is one nut. It's right here. It's literally in that same cutout opening. It's hard to see it. So we take the one nut off. Okay, so we have the one nut off. Now it pops off. So in this case, I wonder if it's easiest to shut the lid or not. I haven't decided if I'm going to shut the lid yet or not, because I can actually see, I believe. I can actually grab the other light. So if this light is right here, you can see the two tabs are literally right there, and I can actually see them. So if I actually almost pry it a little bit, maybe. I mean, they're not designed to just pop off easily. You know, we just don't want to break them. But I can definitely see them. I'm bringing it down a little bit. So first tab is right there. Okay, so that one feels like, oh yeah, she popped, okay. So essentially, it's best to kind of maybe put something in here and put some pressure on here, and then grab with your hand the other side of the light, and there they are. So these are plastic, not metal, so that's why you don't want to break them. Okay. I've decided to go a little bit different route. I'm going to actually install the new lights on this side because I want to see what they look like comparatively. I'm not going to be able to turn them on, but I just want to see what they look like aesthetically without the lights being on. So, since I have this down, I'm just going to pull the plastic back so the plastic doesn't stay there, but protect the light while I slowly insert everything. We're going to insert the new wires through the hole that the old wire went through. You can see they just pop down in here, so quick and easy. Make sure you line up the two grommets. Make sure that the bolt comes through. It does. So she pops down. You just gotta wait for it to pop down all the way. Looks like that's it. And now I'll get the nut. I'll put the nut on. Okay, and then tighten that nut. Again, this is going to be something that you're not going to want to tighten it too much. If you noticed when you were taking them off, they're just kind of snug. So that's what I'm going for there. Okay, that one's in place. Now let's get the other one in place quick. Okay, same as before. I'm going to pull this plastic back a little bit. I just want to protect the light so I don't scratch it while I'm messing around with it. And then it's just two wires here that make sure they feed through. And ensure they feed through so you can actually get a hold of them on the other side. Okay. And then we'll line up the push pieces. It's not coming through all the way, is it? There we go. It's hooked.
and they just pop into place that little bit, and that's it for that. I have both wires back here through the same hole as the other guy is in, and now we'll put this guy back in, and then I'll put the other two nuts back in last. You know, this idea worked pretty good. Alright, and then I'll just put the two nuts back here, back in real quick. Okay. So looks-wise, it's not drastically different. Definitely more of a smoke color to the actual, the plastic itself. But it's not like holy night and day. You could eat, like it would scream at you. Alright, well, let's get the other one going. So, rather than finish up this side over here, I actually decided I'm going to go ahead and start getting wires routed in here. And so when we route the wires from the driver's side tail light to the gate side driver's side, that's going to be the two longer wires. The green wire, which is kind of your ground wire, that goes from here and it plugs in up there. And then the long extension wire that goes from this light to the same side driver's side tail light on the tailgate. But we can either route up here or down here, and it really doesn't matter. It's up to you, whatever you think is easiest to get to. I think I'm going to go down, just more than anything else is that I don't really have anything up here right now, and I don't want to be putting a whole bunch of stuff up here because just there's nothing up here currently. Literally nothing running up here. So I'm going to go ahead and pull this one out. Should just be this plastic trim here. You should just grab down below here and pull up, I believe. Could just be because of that rubber trim. Yeah, that's what it is. It's that. So this rubber gasket holds it in pretty good too. Really good. Wow. Actually impressed by that. Wow. Yeah, I mean there's 4 clips, just simple metal clips, but that rubber gasket I think did more than anything else. Okay, set that out on the side there. And now I can actually route it in between, right, there's a nice little spot right in there that actually goes. So, let me grab the wires. So this is the longer of the two. There's 2 identical wires, one for passenger, one for driver's side. Passenger side doesn't have to go as far, so you want the longer of the 2. And then the ground wire. These should be pretty much, I think, equal in length because they go the same distance. So what we can do is lay them out, and then if you really want to, you could even tape them together, do some kind of, I guess, wire management skills to keep them together, or lay them in there if you really want to. I guess that's really up to you. So let me get these situated, and then we'll plug them in, and then we'll start routing. Okay, so I have the cables. I just put a few pieces of tape on it just to kind of keep them together at least. And I'm actually going to route it from this side a little bit. Alright, I'm going to screw this in here at least for now. Okay. And then get this up to, I want to get it out where the grommet goes. So you can kind of see what I'm doing. Actually, it laid down in there pretty good. So you can kind of see where it's going there. It's going underneath these ribs, so it's down actually below that, so when the plastic goes over, it's going to completely cover it and protect it. And now we're actually in here, which is going to take us up to where that is. Which probably have to pop this down. And I may have to pop that out. Alright, I didn't show it on camera, but up this for this plastic piece up here, there are 2 rivets. So just push pin rivets, one in each corner
so hard to get to, but I didn't notice them right away. But once you pull those two out, one on each side, it just, this plastic piece just basically drops out of the way. So I guess that would have been the nice thing about running it up here. There's nothing there, but that's why I didn't want to run it up there. It's just more apt to notice, I guess. But up in here, this is where we're going to notice this guy here. So not the easiest to get to from what I can tell. We're going to see what we can do. So where this rubber gasket grommet runs down into the vehicle, right here, we'll pull that out. And this is where we're going to have to actually fish from this hole down into the trunk, because you can't get your finger up in there directly. So that's the first fishing point. So I have a fiberglass fishing stick that I'm going to actually take in kind of like this. And if I come down here, sorry if I'm in the way. I want to come out in a specific spot down here where there actually is a hole. I'm going to have to probably get in the other side. So there's one hole right here. That's the only access hole right here. It's not long, it's 12 inches maybe, 10 inches long, but we got to fish it from here to there. And that's going to include the two that we just pulled from the driver's side, as well as the one from the passenger side that I haven't even pulled out yet. We're going to get that to there. Now, these are the 3 wires that are going to go up there. 2 of which are obviously for driver's side, 1 of which is for passenger side. So the driver's side one first, I'm going to actually tape those together, and I'm going to kind of offset it a little bit so that they're not bundled all together at once. But I want to make sure that these stay together at all times because they go together. So I'm going to tape those together quick, just the ends. Alright, like that. Now I'm going to take the passenger side one, I'm going to bring it down a little bit further and tape this guy down here. Again, it's just about keeping the bulk down. We don't want it all bulked in one specific spot. We want to kind of gradually pull it up that snake eventually. So tape this up, and I want to get it down to where it's actually protecting the wires so that we're not going to catch on anything. Alright, that's good. Alright, now I have this. Now I'm going to tape this to my snake to this point. This is just a quick one, so I'm just going to, just up front, just so it doesn't catch. Alright, quick and easy one, just to get it from here to there. So now I'm going to pull this up and through. Alright, so I pulled it through to this point. I'm going to go ahead and untape it, get it off the fish stick. Alright, and I want to be able to get it up this, so I'm going to go ahead and feed it up in here for now. But I want to make sure that I have plenty, for not only for this, but also to get all the way over there. So, alright, I have it for the most part where it is. I don't have anything plugged in, but I have all the cables sitting where they need to go. This is going to be the hard part, is getting it up this rubber grommet. And you want to get it up this rubber grommet. You do not want it exposed because you're going to have higher likelihood of pinching the wire here or there. It is not going to be fun, I think, to get it up this rubber grommet and all this snake. First, there are 2 zip ties we got to release, and so you need a small screwdriver for that. I'm going to have to grab a small screwdriver. I know how hard this is going to even try to show, but it's a zip tie, so you're just opening up the zip part. We have to do it from the other side. Okay, if I actually put the small screwdriver in there, and you just need something to grab onto the zip tie better, and I don't have anything in my possession so much that does very well with that. So I just have the screwdriver. I'm kind of just putting in between the zip tie and the rubber snake there, just to put a little pressure on it. So as I lift up on the zip tie piece, this is, I'm sure, not making for great video, and I apologize, but there we go. As long as you can get those zip ties undone, you're going to need them undone. They absolutely have to be undone.
And you may have to just remove them all together because there is a little loop in the back side of the snake. I'm gonna go ahead and just take it out all together, and then let's see here. I'm trying to brighten up the video as best I can to show you. This just loops on here. There we go. And so that is our pathway, which is not is terrible because we actually have to go up and around. It's not a great pathway. It's probably the best way to say it, which means it's going to be a pain in the butt to slowly snake this through. It is not going to be enjoyable, and you don't want to go too hard. It looks like I should untape this. There's some tape up here to hold this snake in place. And you don't want to pull too hard because you also don't want to damage what's already here. Right? We definitely don't want to do that. So now we'll take our snake, our fish tape, or whatever you want to call it. This is the part that some people don't get done because it is not an easy item to snake through. This is the hardest part. Is going to be this corner. It's going to not be good. I'm through with that part. Okay, so you can kind of see that I peeled this. I just kind of rolled it back upon itself to try to shorten it so it doesn't do the S. If I don't have an S turn, it's going to be a lot easier. Although right now this is going to be a real big pinch point because of all the rubber that's kind of stalled up. So I do have this through. I'm going to tape onto here very differently, I think. We'll see how I do it. And then we'll slowly work around. Once we get past this pinch point, I think it's going to be fine. But the pinch point is going to be the pain. So I'll try to do what I can. I'll check in periodically. I don't think I'm going to film this whole process. I put a little bit of grease on the electrical tape because I think that's going to help a lot. It's going incredibly slowly, but it is moving, and it's all about pushing the rubber essentially down. Highly recommend putting the grease on though. That definitely helps, but or something, some kind of lubricant. Not cool. Let me clean this up real quick and I'm going to show you exactly how I actually got it after it failed the first time. So, okay, let me show you. Okay, so first off, I made this more streamlined. I actually put the ground wire up first, then the first taillight wire, then the second taillight wire, and then taped it all together. I also had the fish stick go all the way through and I kept pulling, so I actually have it still coming through. That way, if it did slip down, it didn't slip off like it did the first time. So, but that streamline made it a lot better. I also put lube on the fish stick as I was fishing it through, like on the way down again. I put lube so it had some grease up in here. And then when I put it back on, I lubed up the tape. And it's always the tape that sticks, right? So I lubed that up good, and then just slowly kept pulling and feeding it through. But now we are good. And that's the thing, we want to make sure it's protected. So now that I have that, I'm going to get my fish stick out of there, and then I'm going to pull the rest of that through. think I'll wait to work on that and finish that up. Now I'm going to make sure that these are long enough to get to where they need to be. So this guy we know is for this side. So I'm going to go ahead and pull him up. So the nice thing is I don't have to fish tape it up here. Let's see if this is going to be long enough, otherwise I might have to pull a little bit more through, and that's not a big problem. I think it might be best to do just a little bit more through. To be honest, I'm going to pull this out of here and kind of go with these. So just another 6 inches maybe, which I definitely have. So I'm just going to pull it up into there. Okay, so I have the two that are for the driver's side coming out. I actually untaped them real quick. And essentially what we can do is we can tape them to these guys and bring them over and then plug them in. You know, like this guy's going to plug in right on this green guy here. I'm going to do that right now. Actually, just plug him in. Once he plugs in, then you can take the rubber seal. We can actually tape that too. But yeah, I think I'm going to tape these up as well. And so that goes there, and then this one goes to this side, and so we should be all set for putting the snake back. And that's the big thing. The fun part is going to just start now again. That is looking like OEM again. Okay, so I kind of threw the seal back on here and then went back down, I did the zip ties last and then stuck that guy through, but now it looks back to like it was before originally. And that took a little bit to pop through. I tried to get it on camera, but it didn't show up, so. But this guy, I think I have to force with it a little bit. You can kind of see where it's still popping out a little bit. But it's a good starting point. I'm going to go with that and I'll play around with that later. Alright, up here. Okay, since we started with driver's side, let's work on driver's side. So we already did the ground, and of course I'll put this up later. But the ground's done. So now we have these two connectors, as well as the connector that went from the vehicle, right? So let's see here. First, we're going to have this bridge tie. I think this is the one that goes between the two. As well as we're going to have the one coming up. So this is the one that we came up from below, from the top, from the driver's side light. It's going to plug into what it can only plug into, this guy right here. And I'm going to go ahead and plug it in. Alright, so we know that goes there. And then we have the actual 4-pin here. That's probably going into, I can only assume, we have the this wiring harness guy that actually plugs together. Don't exactly know what this does, to be honest about it. Okay, well I'm going to start by doing this. So I have the ground wire done, and then we have the wire that we just plugged in from down below. Now we have to do an adapter from what the original light, and so it looks like this guy here, which has a ground plug on it as well for some reason. I'm going to plug that in, and it can only plug in one direction, looks like. So it looks like red's opposite of what this holder container. Put that on there, and then looks like this can also only plug in one direction as well. Good. Okay. I'm going to leave it like that for now. I'll just kind of maybe just put it up here so it doesn't get in the way. But I'm pretty sure that's all we're going to need to do there. Maybe I'll throw a couple pieces of tape on it, just to hold itself while we do the testing of it at least. But because there is one more wiring harness that I don't see where it's going to go on my vehicle. But maybe that's because that's for the older vehicles, and this is the refresh obviously has a little bit different wiring. So Alright, so that's just out of the way. Alright, let's see here, that's the button. Over on this side, we have the two lines coming down from the light itself. We have the line coming from the passenger side light. That's going to go into this guy here, the one with the green, or the red and the yellow. Match the red and the yellow on that one. And then we have the blue wires, green, black, and white. That's going to go to this adapter. So we'll plug that into this adapter. And then we'll plug this guy into... It looks like it'll only go in one direction. So this is on one side, then the red piece is on the other. Okay, so we'll do that. And then I'm not going to finalize these wires yet. I just want to get them up so I can close the trunk and actually test this thing out. Alright, so we have the upper portion done. This is for the button, okay? Let's look at the lower stuff. Now, possibly the easiest way to do this would have been like taking these two wires that we literally lined all the way up to the front, putting them through, hooking it together, and then sliding it back through, but it does barely fit, so I'm going with it like this, I think. So I'm going to go ahead and hook up that ground, and then the 4-wire pin that's back here that goes to the upper light, or the trunk light, there we go. And then, I apologize, you're not seeing this at all, but I'm just connecting those two easy to connect ones real quick. Okay. And then we just have the original factory harness one, and that's going to plug into the light, and I'm going to put that red pin towards the inside of the trunk as usual, as it came originally, and put that on there. There we go, slide it in, lock it in place with the red. So that's that side. Let's do the passenger side now. Of course, they have to be doing the blower right now, but of course it's a hot day out today, first hot day ever this year. Alright, this one, this little light that came off the light is not long enough to go through the hole. So, this is the line that goes up, so I'm going to pull that through here and plug that into the light itself. Okay. That snaps into place. And then, slide the light in. Pop into place, and then we'll put the light in back here. That's better. Alright, so let's do a testing. Oh, my handprint's all over that light. Okay. Let's do this. Well, that's working correctly. Okay, so that one's not plugged in all the way. Didn't feel like it did, but check that again. So on these new lights, you can plug this in this way, or you can turn it around and plug it in this way. If you have it in the wrong incorrectly, this light won't turn on. So I had it in like so. So now I'm going to flip it the other direction. And it should still be able to plug in. Of course, I don't have it screwed in yet, so I'm just doing tests. Hey, look at that. So all I had to do is just change the direction and we're good to go. Let's try the other lights. Left turn signal. Brake lights. This is reverse. Park. I'll do the emergency flashers. And there we go. Alright. Left turn signal. Brakes. Reverse. And park. So the only issue I'm having is the wrong light coming on for reverse here. I'm going to look into that, but until then, everything else seems to be working, so I'm going to get everything kind of put back together. Okay. Now I'm just going to go around reverse like and get everything buttoned up back in here. Make sure all the wires are routed properly. Make sure everything's in the seals properly. Alright, this one might be a little more interesting. She sits down and good now. Okay, so the one thing that I noticed, if I actually shut it exactly like this, everything's hooked up directly, and the one thing that is not working right is the reverse light on the driver's side isn't white, it's amber. So obviously something's wrong in that, and it actually comes down to the fact that I was wondering whether or not I needed to install this. So I thought, let's try it out without it. This is the cable that is all connected. There's actually a center connection point even. It's a fibrous wrap. It's not a, it actually has a cloth wrapping on it. So it's the only one in your kit that has this. This needs to install basically between the left and right side of this trunk, on the trunk itself. And it seems like this is actually what actually makes sure that when you hit reverse and stuff, it's the exact same color on both sides. So essentially what you do, from what I can see, is, and I tested this already to see if that actually was causing my issue, so that's why I already know. Essentially, you can see on this, it has a male and a female on both sides. They're basically both identical, male, female, male, female. And basically the cable that's coming up from the driver's side body light, you unplug that, and then you plug it into this cable, and then the female side from this cable into the light here. So that, and then I'm going to route this essentially the same way over to here, and then it has the exact same thing on that side where you have a male and female on that side as well. So this is a super long cable. I don't understand why it's this long. Either way, I'll just tape it up and it is what it is. But now this, male and female, same thing. The one that's coming up from the passenger side body, I unplug that, and then we pass it through this guy. And now I just have to dress it. So let me get my tape back out and we'll get it all dressed up. Now I did want to mention real quick this adapter right here, with the one with the has a little green guy. This is one of the adapters that came for specifically for the new AMX or AMD Ryzen processed units, which is what I have. However, it has a female plug, so this ground plug that's going from the bottom, the driver's side main one, is also female to the male one that's coming out of this light. So I don't know if I really have to hook this up or not. That if I do find that I do, I'll let you guys know. But as of right now, I'm going to go ahead and tape this up, just like so, because I have everything routed exactly like I think it needs to be. And before I actually put the cover back on, we'll do one final test. Okay, let's do one final test. I have everything routed. I don't have the cover on in there yet, but let's make sure everything works right. Alright, so we're going to start with a brake. That's my brake. Put off the brake. Now I'm going to do left turn signal. And now I'm going to do right turn signal. Now I'm going to do brake and then reverse. This is the back to park. I'm going to go ahead and drive with the brake on. Back to park and let go. And come back out and see you guys. Okay, so as you can see here, I have everything taped up. Basically the big thing about this is taping it so it's not going to be rattling, so all these extra ends, tape those up on both sides so they're not going to rattle at all. Everything's kind of up, and of course the plastic cover is going to take care of the rest of it, and then this is obviously for the button. So now I can actually put this plastic cover back on because we are finally complete. It looks like everything is testing out great. I'm going to go ahead and plug this back in. And then, the nice thing about putting this on, there's two teeth that go on either side of the latch, and there's buttons there, so that's where I'm going to start, right there, and then I'm going to aim up the first one, and just work my way around. The big thing about this is, you know, you don't push too hard. Just kind of pat it around and you'll hear it click in. But everything looks like it's in pretty good, I think. Oh, that one right there. Let's check this one. And that one. Good. So thanks for sticking with me all the way to the end of this install. Not terribly difficult. And this paper installation manual, to be honest, similar to the other HANSSHOW, it's nice to be able to go to this, but I prefer, and I'll be honest, everybody's different. I prefer to just kind of go with what I can figure out, and if I run into a situation that I don't understand, then I usually turn to this stuff or to the online videos. This QR code, I'm going to put a link to this video that HANSSHOW actually includes basically with this, and there are other ones out there. There are a few that I watched and I cringed a little bit, and there's a couple other ones that, hey, great job. The big thing is take your time. Two, like I said, I had the 2022 model with the AMD Ryzen processor, so the plugs are a little bit different in the newer one than they are in the older one, which is why they give some adapters that I didn't use. So all 4 of these adapters I did not use in my setup because I don't need them. So that said, you may need to use these if you have the earlier version of the Model 3. Also, the snake, the rubber snake that goes from the trunk lid down to the body. Ensure that you are actually getting the cables in there. Do not run them up next to it and zip tie it onto it. You're asking for possible troubles down the road. And in all reality, if you take your time, you will do it. I also will recommend put some lubricant on the cable as you slowly pull it up, and make sure you do it all at once. Don't do it in 2 pulls because I think you'll fight the heck out of it. And just stagger the cables enough so that you don't have a big blotch going up the snake as you're pulling it up. But if you have any question of that, I'm sure that you may have a friend out there that has pulled cable up a confined space before, but just take your time, pull it a little bit, then move, you just kind of take the rubber from that snake and remove it over it, pull a little bit more. But if it's lubricated well enough, I find that is what really helped on that one, because it is a very confined snake, but it is rubber, so it does stretch. And don't pull too hard, you don't want to damage the cables. So everything is functioning currently exactly like it's supposed to that I have seen. So I'm looking forward to just enjoying my new taillights. So thank you for watching to the end. I will have a full video review once I am fully finished. I did the install, basically all the install yesterday, and that's when I actually sent a text message out to HANSSHOW about the reverse light that I was having an issue with. And actually, before I even got any response or anything, I was like, well, maybe it's just this cable that I didn't install that I didn't know if I really needed. Yes, that's exactly what it was. Essentially, I think what that cable does is one side gets the reverse white light, one side gets the reverse amber light, or the amber light, and if you plug that in, I think both of them come on at the same time on both sides. So, hey, it's a simple solution and it works. So, that's what it is. If I hear anything back, I'll definitely put comments, description, whatever I hear about anything, but I do like the look of the new rear taillights. I like these better than the stock, so that's always a benefit. I will put links to this guy. Also, I do have a 15 GeekSmart, I think is the coupon code. I'll put everything down in the description, so if you're interested in looking at these and adding these to your own car, hopefully you can use that discount code for HANSSHOW to get a discount on these guys. So thank you for sticking to the end. Like, comment, subscribe, share the video if you can, and let me know if you have any other recommendations. I'm always looking for something to do to make this thing more unique and different. So thanks for watching. Catch you on Tech Gooch for the full video review, and we'll see you next time.